Revolution Broadcasting. The revolution won't be televised, but it will be broadcast.
Hello?
Hello, Dr. Edwin Vieira, Ray Powell here. We are live on Revolution Broadcasting. Thanks for joining us.
Well, my pleasure, Ray.
All right. Yeah, this is a pretty exciting day. Off to a pretty good start for the Peter Schiff campaign, of course. I was just reviewing everybody. They cracked $500,000 so far raised total for their campaign. Pretty exciting stuff.
$500,000 in how many hours?
Well, that's the total raise for the campampign today. And today,
sold. Okay, well, still pretty good. He was looking for what, a total of $1 million?
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could hopefully, get $1 million today. Maybe we'll hit $1 million total for the day. So far, total today, we're looking at like 60,000, 70,000 already. Not too bad.
Oh, no, definitely not. But, of course, the more the merrier in terms of money, and especially in a campaign where he's going against someone like Dodd, who will be thoroughly financed.
That's right. There's no question that Dodd has those connections to bring in a lot of that money and straight from the source of the money itself, which we're going to spend some time talking about. We encourage everybody to go and do that. Thanks for the reminder there, Jim. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. We've got to remember what we're doing this for.
That's right. Now, John Birch Society has been talking about the message of those replays keep kicking in. Not sure why. Apologize for that, Dr. Vieira. What were you just saying?
Oh, I was going to say that that money question is even more important in this campaign because obviously if Peter Schiff is running against Chris Dodd, then the danger to the type of people who would be behind Dodd will be exacerbated, and obviously they'll put in as much effort to reelect him as possible.
Absolutely, yeah. This is a definite threat to them for a guy like Peter Schiff to have the ability to go into the Senate and start talking realistically about the financial situation we're in.
Yeah, they have enough of a problem with Ron Paul in the House, so they want a kind of clone of Ron Paul in the Senate. Think about how dangerous that must appear to them. Right,
and not to mention, of course, one of their favorite senators right now is Chris Dodd. He's on record, blatantly going forth in front of the American people, defending strongly Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, telling everybody how strong they were, how financially secure these institutions are, in a time when they were getting ready to collapse.
So that's right. Losing him is essentially a double loss for them.
Right.
They not only lose one of their best mouthpieces, but they bring in potentially Peter Schiff, who will really do a job on them in terms of exposing the reality of this situation.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of exposing the reality of the situation, you have been doing that for a long, long time. You've done it in very much detail and some of your authorships, including, of course, Pieces of 8, which is out for re-release now, I hear. Tell us a little bit about the story behind that, how it came about, and what's going on with this re-release.
Well, it came about because back in the late 1970s, early 1980s, I had a case that raised, or we at least attempted to raise, issues dealing with monetary policy and the Federal Reserve. And in the course of that, the client that I had knew people in Ron Paul's office. So this was the time that Ron Paul was on the U.S. Gold Commission. And I went into the office at one point in time, talked to some of his legislative assistants. I think it was Lou Rockwell or John Robbins.
Apologize, sir. Keep going.
Okay. And I asked them what they had in the U.S. Gold Commission testimony that related to the constitutional principles behind use of silver and gold.
We encourage everybody to that nomination and for all the hard work he's done towards liberty and truth and freedom.
Children to believe that there is a constitution. They love Peter Schiff, man. Jim Capo was on with the JBS, Orly Tates Esquire, the lady that's fighting Obama and asking him for his birth certificate. She's filed those.
All right, I really apologize, sir. I think we got it covered this time.
All right.
So you were saying that you went into Ron Paul's congressional office during your case.
Right.
You were meeting with
during the time he was on the U.S. Gold Commission, and asked them what they had in the testimony of before the Gold Commission dealing with the constitutional basis of the use of gold and silver in our monetary system. And the short answer was, well, essentially nothing. So I wrote them a 60-page, 70-page typewritten analysis of that problem. It was submitted, but it came in so late in the process I didn't have an opportunity to testify. And it's now somewhere with the Ark of the Covenant, stored in God knows where in the storage, U.S. government storage.
Right.
If you remember that movie.
Yeah.
But thereafter, Ron Paul said that I should publish that. Well, it was just a short study, and I worked on it. And by 1983, I had the first edition of the book out. It was about 380-something pages long, and that was a paperback. Eventually, it went out of print. We couldn't reprint it because the printers had lost or thrown away all of the material they needed for a reprint. So I expanded it, and it ended up 1,700-page, 2-volume work that came out in 2002. And by 2006, I had sold some of those, and I distributed the rest of them to law school libraries and large public libraries throughout the country. So they were all gone by 2006. And over the years, people kept asking me for them. And so I just don't have any more. They're awfully expensive to reproduce. But finally, having been importuned enough, I decided, well, I'll come up with a subscription offer. And if people want to find out about that, they can go to newswithviews.com. And in the contributor list, they'll find my name. Click on that, and it will be one of the top 2 or 3 entries at the present time. Description of this subscription. What people need to do ultimately is to send in a post-dated check, and if I receive enough of those by the 31st of August, because it's been on now since the beginning of July, then we'll go ahead and reprint the book in probably about 6 to 8 weeks. It should be done. It'll be very nice, like the original, be a very nice hardbound 2 volumes, Smythsonian set, and it covers the history and legal development, or devolution, if you will, decomposition of our monetary and banking system since the colonial period, late 1600s, through 2000, when I stopped writing anew. So everything is in there in terms of setting up a historical foundation for everyone who wants to know what happened and why a great deal of it is plainly unconstitutional. And then towards the end of the book, I give some suggestions about how we might move towards a constitutional renovation, if you will, of the system. So it's out there for people who are interested, and we'll see if enough subscriptions come in by the 31st of August.
Terrific.
To move it into the printing process.
Well, I hope that happens. So once again, that's if anybody is interested in helping to make that happen, it sounds like there's support would be greatly appreciated. Newswithviews.com is the site. Look for the contributors, look for Dr. Vieira's name, click there, and you should see how you can get involved in helping that book go to reprint. Now, Pieces of 8, tell us about that title.
Well, U.S. Constitution in 2 places refers to the word dollars, but doesn't define it. A lot of words in the Constitution aren't defined, primarily because the authors of the Constitution assumed that every adult and literate person who read the Constitution would know what those words meant. Well, the word dollar was not some arcane concept. It wasn't something that was invented in the Constitution. It had, in fact, been the standard of colonial, at least the foreign coinage, in the colonial system from 1704. There was a statute and a proclamation by the Queen at the time. And then it had been adopted by the Continental Congress prior to the Constitution as the monetary unit of the independent state.